Okay, this is Counter-Strike here. Stars of its such, with eyes overseeing much, a world captured through chillions of time lasted. Intrinsic inquisitive of the initiative, of the Myopa, of the Europa, the blade of mortal slashing through the orb of night, in our sight of there now, in which we landed, how? Let us go further into the age-old, with unanswered questions to behold. The dreamscape cast across the ground, in the formation of a tiger abound.
This is Counter-Strike here. Guys, AI is not going to solve this debate. AI is just a compilation, a conglomeration of all the info and data that we human beings have given it. But what about the data that AI hasn't received yet? Like what you're going to see in this video. What about that? You know, can AI assess? Can it acquiesce? Can it deliberate? Can it debate? Can it elaborate? Can it pontificate? Can it decipher? Can it concur? Can it reason? Can it postulate? Can it assimilate? No. You see, that's where we come in. That's where advanced coding comes in. You see, one thing AI doesn't have, that we humans have, is a soul. So, in that spirit, let's get hacking.
much we have in common from talk cinema. In these films, they always use the smallest tiger against the biggest lions to make the lion win. Still, the lion is not able to kill the tiger, and even the fight is equal. Imagine a large male tiger, R.I.P. lion. So this particular person is complaining that the tigers are too small. Well, in these particular videos, there were small tigers. But the lion in this video, which was used in the Jungle Jim movie, the lion was not that big either. The director, Clyde Elliott, who shot the original footage, stated in the paper that the lion would win. In the other movie that this person may be talking about is actually The King of the Jungle. And in The King of the Jungle, those are Middle Stark's tigers, so they were like a Sinatra. Gerard Jacobs was there, and he oversaw, I believe, the stage fights that we used to, because he mentioned that Tarzan movies, and that's what that basically was a Tarzan movie. Well, it appears that he said that those tigers lost the fight. But the question that this person is asking is, what if the tiger is a very large one? It's a fair question. We'll try to answer that in this video. Another person has asked the same question named Hunter Anderson. Their adolescent tigers, adult tigers, were never smaller than even the biggest lions. This isn't exactly true. Tigers and lions can vary, different sizes. And right now, Timbavati lions actually rival the size of the biggest Siberian tigers. In captivity, Siberian tigers are actually bigger than they are in the wild, because there is less of a population of Siberian tigers in the wild right now. If we look at Clyde Beatty's act, originally, most of the tigers he got were wild. He got them from Frank Buck, and he actually went in to get himself to get them too. But this appears that he did have some Siberian tigers. Here is a relatively large tiger. The head is round and it is big. So this proves that it is apparent that Betty did have big tigers in his act. This will be a rollover. In 1962, at the end of Betty's career, he answered the question. This is after seeing many different kinds of tigers and many different kinds of lions fight over 30 years worth. He states, the lions are the tougher fighters, Betty said, and even match with the tiger, the lion will win 90% out of 10. This is difficult for tiger fans to swallow, and the tiger guys don't like it. They don't understand how this could possibly be true, but we know that other trainers, such as Bert Nelson, Dave Hoover, Terrell Jacobs, and many more, echoed and said the same thing. Betty states, the tiger is more ferocious for a short period, but he wears himself out quickly. Betty said, the lion takes it easy, waiting until he can get a vital grip. In showing the fight between the lion and tiger in the movie, that big cage, we had to use 3 tigers. The lion killed the first 2 so quickly that we didn't have enough footage. So it's important to understand here that Betty says lions are the tougher fighters. In an even match with a tiger, the lion will win 9 times out of 10. It's important to understand that this is even, he's saying right here. Even. Now, let's look at Betty's mentor, Peter Taylor. Peter Taylor, years earlier, in 1928, was asked the same question. The paper says, lion can lick tiger. Taylor says, a tiger is more easily excited than a lion. Is a lion superior to a tiger in a fight? The question is, from the interviewer, Taylor says, by all means. In spite of the fact that some tigers have killed some lions. Whoa, what's that? Some tigers have killed some lions. This infers that it's certain tigers versus certain lions. But match a strong lion against an equally strong tiger, and the lion will win. Equally strong tiger. This does not give the lion the advantage right here. He's saying, Peter Taylor, arguably one of the greatest mixed pet trainers of all, even greater than Betty in some ways, because Betty learned from him, and he was the one that started it all, Peter Taylor. Peter Taylor states, equally strong. He does not say the lion will win if it has an advantage. He says the lion will most definitely win if it's equally strong. But the question remains, what if the tiger has an advantage? What if the tiger is bigger? Let's go to Popular Mechanics to answer that question. In Popular Mechanics magazine, in 1939, it states, can a tiger lick a lion? Betty says no. In 9 cases out of 10, I think a full-grown lion could whip a full-grown tiger. Study the fighting equipment of the tuning, and you'll be inclined to agree. A tiger's razzle-dazzle, hopping him with teeth and all 4 feet, a light lash out of the corner, blue flame fury. But unless he happens to strike a vulnerable spot, no great damage is likely to be done. His hitting cap and weight is offset by his speed. But once checkmated, he's have to assume a defensive style. So, if there's pushback against the tiger, he gets defensive. He doesn't want to continue the fight. So, the tiger can wear out quickly, and he can give up quickly. Not so with the lion, who fights like a dog, with only his front paws and teeth, carries the fight to his opponent's secondary attack on the tiger's throat while his heavy mane protects his ultimate. So you see, the lion has a thick mane covering the whole entire underside of his body. This makes it very difficult for the tiger to beat them. When it uses all force, striking up against its stomach, it doesn't work because the lion is protected in this area, its underside. If the lion does not have a belly mane, it's possible the tiger can win in that instance as well. But if it has a belly mane, it's all the more likely to win. It's important to understand here that in this same article, Eddie talks about, at this point, in estimation, 25 tigers have been killed in the circus arena or worse, but there hasn't been a single lion casualty. He means male lions. 2 lionesses did die at this point. However, only 2 victims were Siberian tigers. The others, Bengals. Tiger toll might not be so great, and Siberians, which are bigger, and I think stronger, figured in all fights. So you see what's going on here. Betty is saying that if there were Siberians, more Siberians, the death toll may not be as high. So what does this mean? Can the Siberian win? Well, again, let's look to Clyde Betty to answer that question.
This is Counter-Strike here. Systematic. Enigmatic converges of the emergence of the divergence of the data, the fate of the electric-magnetic pulse of the human mind. In there stands the sincerity of consciousness in the midst of the realm of scientific lawlessness.
If we look at the Beringen Advocate, Wednesday, October 23rd, 1933, Cage with the Big Cats. There's no love lost, says Clyde Betty. In this article, it states he was in his element as an assistant to Pete Taylor, trainer on The Robinson Show. Betty says Pete was the first to mix lions and tigers, and it is to him that Clyde attributes most of his glory. It states the cast of characters in his tiger repertoire changes constantly because of the lions. Betty states, I can't keep a tiger more than 3 years, it seems, says Betty. The tiger is by far the better fighter than the lion, but the lion fights in gangs and the tiger fights alone. The tiger death rate is high. I've only lost one lion in 7 years. She flew at the wrong man, the largest tiger I had. He chewed her up before the other lions could get at her to her rescue. He means lioness in this instance, and later in Popular Mechanics magazine, when he said he didn't lose any lions, he was referring to not losing any male lions yet. Let's take note of this part of the article right here. However, there are always exceptions, and the type of exceptions are Roger and Teva. They've been with him since 1926, outfighting everything. Now, when we look at outfighting everything, we realize here and see this. There's no quotes around this, okay? But they obviously were fighting well, and both Roger and Teva are Siberian tigers. This is what Betty meant, and this is what he was referring to in Popular Mechanics magazine when he said, if he had more Siberian tigers figured into his total amount of tigers, the death toll may not be as high. So who is Teba? Well, let's find out. It states, right here in the Baltimore Sun, April 25th, 1932, that Teba is Betty's biggest tiger. It states, so we know that Teba was his largest tiger. So to answer this question from Hunter Anderson, there are adolescent tigers, adult tigers are never smaller than even the bigger lions. And to answer Talk Cinema and many others that have commented in this thread, in these films they're always used the smallest tigers. If it's a big tiger RIP lion, what would happen? Again, if Teba fought a big lion. Let's look at that right now. In The Plain Dealer 1933, it states, Teba, Betty's biggest tiger, whips Bouncy. The interviewer drops in on Mr. Betty. Soon after he'd located the Lakeshore Hotel, want to know how a guy who likes to battle those big jungle cats that much is interested in the battles of youngsters who scrape with boxing gloves. It's important understanding that what it's stating here is that Clyde Betty is actually more interested in boxing than he is actually interested in training his lions and tigers. Betty goes on to say, it's a funny thing, said Mr. Betty, but I guess I grab more of a wallop out of a good fight than I do out of making one of my circus pals sit down and admit who's boss. One of my tabby pals, that's to say, in an amateur fights knocked me for a loop. Always, in fact. So Betty always loves watching boxing. Betty was a boxer. Betty was a championship high school boxer. Betty was going to go on to being a professional boxer. Betty was training to be a professional boxer. Betty was going to be a boxer, but instead becoming a circus trainer. Betty goes on to say, I used to think that when I was a kid that the mid-racket was the only racket for me. It's boxing. Then I ran away with the circus, and well, here I am, all the way from Chicago, to see a bunch of amateur bouts. That must be some kind of a tip-off, eh? The interviewer says, I agreed. That must be. And then I asked, how have those cats been behaving since they left Cleveland? Seems to me they were getting pretty much on their muscle about the time your show hit on for the West, weren't they? Betty says, you think they weren't? Rejoined Mr. Betty, say, I'll tell you something. I saw one of the best fights yesterday as a result of that on-the-muscle business that I ever saw in my life. Just at the end of my last act in Minneapolis, that was. I asked for the details, and here's how they went. Remember that big Bouncy? The lion? Yeah. Well, he was the one that was starting most of the trouble there. 2 jams he started here, and he got away with them. But he picked on the wrong tiger out there in Minneapolis the last day. And what a going over he got. He picked on Teba. So here's the tiger, Teba. Betty's biggest tiger, a Siberian, a bully lion named Bouncy, has been picking on Teba for weeks. Finally, Teba snaps. Teba, that's been taking his abuse for a lot of weeks now. A lot of weeks. And what that tiger made out of him was a job for the cleaners. The act was finishing up, as I say, and Teba was leading the pack out of the tunnel, out of the arena. Bouncy jumped from his pedestal and landed on Teba's back. And when Teba got him back up for once, it was awful. Why, He mopped that tunnel up and down with that Bouncy, from one end to the other. So the Siberian tiger Tiba is whipping the lion Bouncy up and down the circus chute, from one end to the other. And I think he'd have murdered him, sure, if I hadn't popped in there and ordered him to break clean and head for the cages. So Betty thinks that it's possible the fight continued, that Tiba may have killed Bouncy, the lion. The interview of the paper says, and did they break good and clean? I asked. Betty says, why, there wasn't any objection from that Bouncy about breaking, replied Mr. Betty. And Tiba acted as if he was being cheated out of a win. So you see what it's saying right here. This shows that Betty was unbiased. He's actually saying that the tiger acted because Betty broke it up, because that's what Betty does. He saves all his cats if he can. And in this case, he broke up this fight. But he says, Tiba, the tiger acted as if he was being cheated out of a win. And what does Betty say in response to this? He says right here, and if you ask, and let's look at the rest of the article right now. And if you ask me, I think he had a right to feel that way. This account from Plain Dealer 1933 proves that Clyde Betty was anything but biased. It also proves that what he said about Siberian tigers, that they can win if they're large and if they're strong. This account proves that what he said was true. Now the question is, then why, at the end of Betty's career in 1962, does he say 9 times out of 10 the lion would still win? Because he says 9 times out of 10 if it's an even match, not if the tiger's bigger. This doesn't mean that a lion can't beat a bigger tiger. It doesn't mean that some lions won't even beat Siberian tigers. They can, but there's a chance that the lion could there's a chance that a big Siberian tiger could beat a lion. Now, if we check Popular Mechanics magazine, which is the king of beast, and we continue to read the article, which wasn't actually read by most people, Betty goes on to talk about the power of the hippo, 800 pounds of weight, surprising agility. He goes on to talk about being in India and being told by natives that the sloth bears to be feared as much as man-eating tigers. And don't the videos that we now have of sloth bears and tigers prove that? He says the same is true of other bears. There are half a dozen animal men of my acquaintance who rate polar bears the most dangerous beast of all. Betty goes on to state a Himalayan bear ruled a roost in one of my earlier acts that included hyenas, polar bears, Russian bears, lions, tigers, black leopard, and 2 pumas. Betty is giving credit now to the bear of being the most deadly, the most fiercest. He's not saying the lion. He's saying the elephant is the king of the jungle. He's saying the bear is the most vicious. He's saying that hippos are incredibly powerful. Does this look like a lion fanatic to you? He's saying that Siberian tigers have a chance to win versus lions. He goes on to talk about his tiger named Rogue that fought off several lions. This particular tiger was a large one, also known as Raja, and one of the fastest striking tigers that he ever had. Was able to strike out at the lions. But it's important to know that Betty did break up these fights to save the tigers. He also mentions just a large Sumatran tiger. The tiger is large, but it's Sumatran, so it keeps the Sumatran speed, but it's not at a disadvantage with the Sumatran size. This is a deadly combination. So it's a fast tiger, but it's also a large tiger, and it's powerful. Its name is Chester. Chester was able to survive several different attacks from lions. But it's important to understand in these accounts that Betty still helped. He still broke up the fight. He used the ammonia. He used the sticks. He used the whip. He used the blank guns. It says quelled by pumping ammonia. He's quelling the lions. So it's important to understand that although these tigers did survive, they were not long, really, periods that they were able to fight like this and survive. And at the end of the article, what does it state? It says, Chester, who had been in the thick of the fight for every second, came through with only a few minor superficial cuts. For a brief few minutes, a king of beast with stripes. So Betty actually is giving credit to the tiger of being the king of beast at the end of this article that he stated the lion would win 9 times out of 10. He's giving credit. But notice he says for a brief few minutes. It was only for a few minutes that these tigers were able to hold off these lions. It was not a long period. Why is that? Well, is there a weakness to the tiger? The answer to that question is yes. No matter how powerful the tiger is, it can burn out. Again, let's look at an account from Tiba and one of Betty's toughest tigers named Rex. It is believed that this tiger right here is a Siberian. Early in Betty's act, this very well may be Tiba. If we look at this account right here, Betty states, I once worked myself into a cold sweat keeping Rex from killing Tiba, or Thiba. I believe this is the same tiger, spelled Tiba, T-I-B-A. Sometimes the cage hands will nickname a tiger or pronounce a tiger's name in a certain way, and the name will change, and they'll keep that name. But the original name may be spelt and pronounced a little bit differently. But I believe this is the same tiger because it goes on to say, Thiba or Tiba, now the biggest tiger in my act. This is the same exact period that Tiba, T-I-B-A, was around. Rex, a tough fighting tiger in Betty's act, in a playful mood, tried to play with Tiba, whose response was to lash out and start a fight. A terrific tussle followed. The animals were locked together, each determinedly trying to rip the other's throat. Only by dashing ammonia, and this is ammonia water, guys. It's not pure ammonia. Betty would never hurt one of his cats. He dumped ammonia water on some of his best lions when they were fighting each other, such as Nero and Sultan. Only by dashing ammonia on them could I stop them. When I finally got them separated, they were so exhausted, they could hardly move. Tiba rolled over in a heap and was groggy. For a full minute, Rex moved around uncertainly, and obviously, too, had had enough. But he had more resistance than his attacker. So why did Rex have more resistance at the end of this fight? Because Tiba is a Siberian tiger. They have more insulation, they have more fur, and they're likely to become exhausted quicker than even a normal tiger. This shows a weakness, although how powerful the Siberian tiger is, and these accounts show that it can win. This here shows that it also burns out quickly and becomes exhausted to the point where it can barely move. So, to answer this question from many people in the comments thread, can a bigger tiger win? Can a Siberian tiger win? Yes, it can, but it still can burn itself out even quicker than the average Bengal tiger like Rex.